Hey guys, my name's Gary Broadbent. I'm a member of the World Championship United States Boomerang team and been throwing boomerangs since 1972. Yes, just a couple days ago. Today's date is December 30th, 2022, and it was 50 years ago and 5 days ago that I threw my first boomerang. And boy, did I fall in love with the boomerang, even though it didn't come back to me. But guys, you all know me as a passionate, obsessed person over boomerangs to a level that I don't think most people can understand. But I am passionate about boomerangs because boomerangs are everything that I am. I'm a scientist, an artist, carpenter, athlete, entrepreneur, an inventor, an engineer, motivational speaker, and a teacher all rolled into one. It's all about finding your bliss in life, and boy did I find it hard and wonderful with boomerangs. So, to start off, how the heck did I get into boomerangs? I was born and raised in Lakewood, Ohio, on the west side of Cleveland. Born March 24th, 1962, so that makes me 60 years old now, and I'm telling you, I'm beginning to feel it, you know what I'm saying? It's just, everything hurts when you, and okay, anyway, in the 5th grade, I had to write a report on Australia. And when you think of Australia, you think of kangaroos, koala bears, and boomerangs. And I fell in love with this magical stick that comes back to you. The librarian handed me this book, and on the front cover of the book was a boomerang. And she says, oh, you know, look, a boomerang. And I'm like, oh, cool, what's a boomerang? She said, oh, it's a magical stick. You throw it and it comes back to you. And I'm like, cool, I gotta have one of those. and so then I went running out to see Santa Claus, and I'm begging Santa, please Santa, forget about the G.I. Joe with the Kung Fu grip and Gnip Gnop and Twister, which is gonna be a movie someday, and the Lost in Space robot that says, danger, danger, Will Robinson, danger, that does not compute. I gotta have a boomerang. Do you have an Australian out that could kick me out of boomerang? And Santa's looking at me going, oh, sure, you little nutcase, you. Go on, get out of here. I'll throw you away. You'll be like a boomerang. You'll come back tomorrow. I said, thanks, Santa. And I was so excited. I'm one of 9 children. My mom and dad, Richard and Mary Broadbent, raised us in Lakewood, Ohio. And I'm the middle of 9 kids. Brian, Patty, Mark, Sharon, Gary, Chris, Darren, Kelly, and Katie. And you want to talk about a zoo. Unbelievable. But that Christmas morning, we all came tearing down the stairs. And we all know where our pile of toys are. And I dove on my pile, and there on top was bell-bottom corduroys, but underneath was a boomerang. I was so excited. I got a boomerang, and I said, I can't wait. I can't wait to throw this. I can't wait. Boomerangs are coming back. This is unbelievable. And I went outside with my 10-year-old bionic arm, and I threw my boomerang, and it was like throwing a record album or a shingle off your roof, and it just went, wah, boom, and it hit the ground 100 yards away. And I'm like, 10 years old. I didn't care it didn't come back. I just threw something 100 yards. I'm like, what you gonna do, brother, with the largest arms and all the world can run wild on you? You put me on the pedestal, and I didn't mind the altitude. So I'll introduce you to thunder and lightning. Okay, so you know the saying, roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic, and so am I. Okay, anyway, I knew that the boomerang was supposed to come back. And I was out there trying it every different way, and I couldn't get the boomerang to work. Well, I found out years later, it turns out that 99% of the boomerangs on the earth may look like a boomerang. They say it's a boomerang, but it's not a boomerang. And all of you have thrown a boomerang sometime in your life, and it didn't come back. And what do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? Of course, a stick, lost, broken, defective, firewood frisbee, old boyfriends, if you're a girl. Anyway, so there's a million terms for it. And I was fascinated with the boomerang, and I wasn't disappointed. Well, I was disappointed a little, but I was a persistent little bugger. I wanted a boomerang that worked. So I read up on all the encyclopedias, and I went to the library, and I studied as much as I could, and learning what I could. And at the age of 10, I didn't understand airplane wings and aerodynamics, and I was cutting them out of plywood, just Luan crap plywood, and throwing them until they broke. And it wasn't until the following March, on my 11th birthday, that there was a boomerang made by the Stemler Company in Albany, New York. And it's a strip laminated ash boomerang, about 28 inches tip to tip. And I begged my mom and dad for this boomerang. I didn't want anything else but this boomerang. I'll rotate the tires on the car, I'll wash and wax it, I'll do anything to get this boomerang. It's all I want. And I got it. Well, it had some general information on the back of it, and here I am at the age of 10 throwing this huge hunk of lumber and throwing it out, and it's going out, and it started to come back. And whoa, I started to understand how a boomerang works. And I grew up right across the street from Emerson Middle School, so it was a wonderful field to throw in. It wasn't super large, but I was out there throwing my boomerang, and I could get it to come back. So everybody in the neighborhood knew me as the Boomerang Man because, hey, that guy Gary there, he can throw a boomerang and it'll actually come back. And they're like, no, come on, it can't be. So I'd always have to run in after playing basketball and football and baseball on the fields, and I'd have to go get my boomerang. And guess what? I get to be the quarterback and receiver, the pitcher and the catcher all in one. I said, this is my kind of sport. This is unbelievable. So many years had gone by. Well, let me tell you this. Ironically, in the following spring, well, my birthday was in March. In May, I think it was late May of that year, all these people wanted to see me throw the boomerang. It was a windy day, and I went in. We had been playing basketball, and I went in and grabbed the boomerang out of the basement, and I took it upstairs to throw. And I had everybody get off to my right. There was about maybe 10 or 12 kids that wanted to see the boomerang fly. And I threw this big, heavy piece of lumber, and it went out and was going around, and I laid it out a little too much, which causes it to climb high in the air. And the wind coming over the top of Emerson Middle School, winds were out of the north, and it rocketed that boomerang in a very, what we call, teardrop throw. And if everybody had stayed where they were, everything would have been fine. The boomerang came back fast and hard. No, you wouldn't want to catch this boomerang. That's the history in the 70s. And the boomerang went, was coming in low and then started to pick up. And if everybody had stayed where they were, nothing would have happened. But a little girl, Chrissy Smith, who was only in kindergarten at the time, the kids started to scatter. And the boomerang came in, and it hit her in the head. And here's this poor little 5 or 6 year old, and I just turned 11, and it looked like it missed her. It went around. It didn't like smack her in the head, but it kind of went around her. And I run over, "Are you okay?" And she starts to cry and says, "My head." And when she touched her hair, all this blood came pouring down. And it was a horrible thing. And I am picking up this girl, trying to carry her 2 blocks away to her mom's house. There was a guy getting off a bus back then with his briefcase, his hat, and his 3-piece suit, and he saw what happened, and he picks this girl up. "Where does she live? Where does she live?" And we run over there, and Mom frantically leaves, and it was a horrible thing. And we went home. They went to the hospital, and I went home, and I told my mom that I hit Chrissy Smith by accident with a boomerang. And she was taking a nap on the couch at the time, and she said, "Oh, just don't do that again." She was kind of in and out of it. So later on after dinner that night, Chrissy Smith's mother had called our house, and said that her daughter had been hit with a boomerang by me. And she ended up getting 32 stitches around her head. The doctor said if it was an inch lower, it would have been in the temple. It could have killed her. And he literally said that he lifted the scalp as if some Indian had scalped her, and this is unbelievable. Well, my mom and dad didn't understand so much that it was an accident, but I got a whooping. I got a beating, and I was told that you'll never throw another boomerang as long as you live. I hate injustice. I know that it was a complete accident, and my mom and dad said you'll never throw another boomerang as long as I live. My dad took that 17-layer strip laminated ash boomerang, put it over his knee, and tried to break it. Well, if you know strip lamination, that's not going to happen. But he was so mad, he stuffed it in the garbage outside. I was grounded for an eternity, and I was told you'll never throw another boomerang as long as you live. Well, I went outside that night because I couldn't sleep, and I snuck downstairs, and I went to the garbage can, and I pulled that boomerang out. And we have camped in all 48 of the 50 states. And we have a Nimrod tent camper, which is just a pull-out tent camper, and I unsnapped it in the garage, and I took the boomerang and I lifted the mattress on one side of the camper, and I put the boomerang inside. And I said, that was going to be, that I knew that it would be safe there, and until my dad was cleaning the camper or something and found it. So I didn't throw the boomerang. I was scared to death. And a couple years later, I remembered we were in Pennsylvania and there was a big field at this campground, and I remembered that boomerang I had put underneath the mattress, and I wonder if that boomerang's still there. And I went over and I lifted up, and there was the boomerang. So I took it, I snuck it out, and I went and I threw on a field for hours. And it was so great throwing that boomerang and having it come back. Well, everywhere I went, I wanted boomerangs. I wanted boomerangs in a way that I don't think the boomerang community understands. To Cleveland State, where I ended up with a physics, communications, and comprehensive science degree, which I like to call 3 degrees above zero. You'll find that funny someday, because I was fascinated. I joined the United States Boomerang Association in 1983, 82, 83, so in the early days. And there was a guy named David Boehm that ran the Cleveland Boomerang School, and I got reattached to boomerangs in my college days or right after high school. And he was teaching people on Sundays at Wade Park Oval between the Art Museum and Natural History Museum to throw and catch boomerangs. So Duncan McLennan in King's Cross, Sydney, Australia, was supplying David Boehm with these boomerangs. And so I go over and I bought a bunch of boomerangs from him, and we were throwing, and I had made some, and he didn't want me to show those to anybody, and he was selling his boomerangs, so everything was cool. And I joined the United States Boomerang Association, and at my first tournament at the Nationals, I was third in the country, and I said, this is my kind of sport. I mean, where else do you get to be the quarterback and receiver, the pitcher and the catcher? I played all sorts of sports, from football, baseball, basketball, underwater basket weaving, downhill knitting, uphill crocheting, hockey, you name it, I've done it, and I love it, and I'm passionate about life, and I'm passionate about boomerangs. So I found this family of boomerang throwers. Guys, there's a family out there. You guys all know it. This is the coolest sport in the world. Boomerangs have been a passport to the world. We've been to Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Sao Paulo, Brazil. We've toured all of Europe. I've been to all 50 states, or 51 if you include my favorite state, the state of confusion. Okay, hear me. Nowhere else in the world can you find such an incredible group of people and such an incredible sport. If you come up to me my senior year in high school and say, Gary, here's $1 million cash in a suitcase. All you got to do is never throw another boomerang as long as you live, and this money is yours. I would have taken the money just like you would. But after knowing what I know, after what I've experienced, the places I've been, the people, the family of boomerang throwers around the world, I mean, we come from all different cultures, different languages, different professions, and we all come together on this one thing that we love, the most complex flying instrument in the world. If you want a dissertation on the boomerang, I could give you gyroscopic precession, differential lifts, centripetal force, moment of inertia, angular momentum, and torque, but I'd be boring you. But hear me, it's magic. Throwing a boomerang out, and it curves, and it comes back. Are you kidding me? Near and dear to the heart, isn't it? Oh, Dad, and I went to work for the Campbell Soup Company. I was a sales representative for Campbell's. I had a company car, I went to work every day in a suit. It was a good job, but it wasn't what I wanted to do the rest of my life. See, life was controlling me, and I wasn't controlling life. And in May of 1988, I was left with 5 children under the age of 5, 3 in diapers, 2 with cystic fibrosis, and twin boys that were 5 months old, and I became Mr. Mom. Well, first I commend the mothers of this world. For any father that comes home and says, what'd you do all day? Eat bonbons and watch soap operas. It's time for moms to go off to the Bahamas and soak up sun while dad lives and breathes diapers, dishes, and laundry. There'd be a lot less divorce in the world. Hear me, you can never repay your parents for everything they've done for you. Hear me, it's impossible. But being in that situation, I took a leave of absence from the Campbell Soup Company for 90 days, and I took a look at boomerangs. And I said, well, why doesn't everybody throw a boomerang? Well, 99% of the boomerangs on the earth aren't boomerangs at all. They're V-shaped sticks. Boomerangs are not 2-dimensional, but 3-dimensional. And so I said, we gotta, we need people. We need to make a good product, a boomerang that's going to really work out there. And there are a number of good flying boomerangs from Australia, and I've been collecting. And I had at the time maybe 800 boomerangs. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Oh, just wait. Well, what ended up happening was I said, okay, people don't throw boomerangs because they don't have a good working boomerang. And even if they do, they think they throw it, you throw it like a Frisbee. And you definitely don't do that, okay? Almost all boomerangs are thrown vertically, straight up and down. And you can have a little bit of a layover for reasons, but we won't get into that now. But basically, you're throwing a boomerang vertically, straight up and down. And it's an airplane wing, all right? So I say gyroscopic precession, differential lift, centripetal force, motor inertia, angular momentum, and torque. Well, without being too scientific, the boomerang, an airplane generates lift up, right? And the airplane tilts its wings, it goes off to the side. A boomerang is like a fighter jet in a sharp turn, and when thrown vertically, it will curve and it will come back. I know, see, you think that's CG and that didn't happen in a room somewhere, but this is the boomerang. It's your office tension release device or couch potato boomerang. It's a boomerang that you can throw straight up and down, made of high impact plastic, and it curves and it comes back. Now, the boomerang world knows about the versatility of something like this. This is unbelievable. The reason boomerangs were two-bladed in the beginning is that they were V-shaped because it was a natural elbow. The grain of the wood goes with the curve of the stick. That's how God or Mother Nature created the root of a tree. And everybody threw sticks and stones all over the world, right? Everybody, all of our ancestors did. But as we evolved and got smarter and bigger brains, we made better weaponry like bows and nails and spears. And we improved our technology. Just like modern day, we don't see record players anymore, but they still work. We improved our technology to things that make life easier on us, right? So we went from a horse and buggy to a car, okay? We improve our technology and we drop the old stuff. Well, everybody thinks that a boomerang's a weapon, and here is the major thing. Hollywood's portrayed the boomerang as a weapon for years. Batman and his batarang, Bugs Bunny brings back Daffy Duck Cook, Road Warriors, Crocodile Dundee. We've all seen this, right? And when Captain Cook met the Aborigines, he saw them carrying curved pieces of wood. He thought it was a wooden sword or a cutlass. And he said, what is that you got there? And the Aborigine says, boomerang. I don't know what you're saying to me. The word boomerang means I don't know in Aboriginal language. So, Captain Cook says, we'll write that down. We'll figure this language out. V-shaped sticks are boomerangs, Then they had, they saw giant kangaroos bouncing around. And you say, hey, what is that out there? And the Aborigine says, kangaroo? What did you say to me? The word kangaroo means, what did you say in Aboriginal language? I mean, this is unbelievable. It's one of the international words. Boomerang and kangaroo are international words, no matter what language is spoken. Swahili, Russian, Italian, French, doesn't matter. If you ask them what's the return stick from Australia, everybody says boomerang, okay? And same with the kangaroo. What's that giant rabbit with a marsupial with a pouch? Everybody says, kangaroo. It's a kangaroo. International words like taxi and typhoon. Look it up on the internet. Alexa will tell you a lot. It's unbelievable. So this is where the words came from. So when they saw the throw sticks, these look like boomerangs. Okay, it's a crescent moon looking thing, beautiful ancient Aboriginal Queensland pinch tip. Okay, I now have the world's largest boomerang collection. I own over 15,000 boomerangs, and that was actually counted in October of 2009. So I think you get an idea that maybe there's 20,000, but I won't announce that until we sit down and count them. If you have time, come on over. Everybody gets to hold boomerangs and history. Okay, but I'm just saying that these look like boomerangs. They say it's a boomerang. If we went up to anybody in Australia and said, good on you, love, what is this? I say, mate, that's a boomerang. It's not a boomerang at all. These are the hunting sticks. They're Kylie's, throw sticks that traveled straight and clobbered a kangaroo. And the boomerang evolved from the hunting stick, from the Kylie. And I can go through a dissertation on how that happened, but most importantly is that we're whipping these things sidearm and they're going straight out. And I have, like I said, the world's largest collection of boomerangs at over 15,000. I'm a little bit obsessed. In fact, I want you all to know that everything in my world is boomerangs. I have boomerang pens, boomerang harmonicas, boomerang brushes. My phone number is 49BRANG. The license plate on my car is boomerangs. I wear boomerang watches, boomerangs around my neck. I have boomerang hats. I'm not wearing one now, but I have boomerang everything. Everything is boomerangs. And I say to you, what goes around comes around, just like a boomerang. If you're a good person, a good student, a good citizen, good things will come back to you. And I'm here to tell you, I said, do what you love what you do, and the world will come back to you just like a boomerang. Live to boom and boom to live. I've amassed this large collection of over 4,000 ancient Aboriginal pieces. I have boomerangs. They're so intriguing. They're so obsessed because it's everything I am. I get to be a scientist. It's the most complex flying instrument in the world. For a boomerang to magically do what it does is just an amazing and incredible thing. And for to understand the science of it and to make something that you made and you throw it and it comes back, it's magical. It's so cool. It's so esteem building, and it's so much fun. And it's one of the few sports you get to go out and you don't need somebody else to throw a frisbee with. It's a thinking person's frisbee. You throw it out and it's coming back to you, and you can dance with the wind. You dance with Mother Nature. And I tell you, all these boomerang throwers around the world, you know, we have world championships, okay? And sometimes U.S. team wins, sometimes Germany wins, sometimes, you know, Japan won, and Australia, of course, and all these great countries, and we all come together. And what's amazing about the sport is that each of us are individuals, and we compete on an individual level and on a team level. And we all want our country to win, and we're all doing the best we can to do what we do, right? And we're gonna win that title for our country. And an individual, you think, well, yeah, I want to beat him. I want to beat him. I want to beat a Friedelin Frost or a Manuel Schultz or a Chet Snoffer. No. You know, what's cool is that we go out there and they're competitive people, and we all compete, but we're competing not against each other. You're not my competition. Mother Nature is our competition. What Mother Nature dishes out, and the experiences I've had in Hamburg, Germany with winds plus 60 miles an hour, you could throw a crowbar and it comes back. You know, hey, Ma, look at this lawn chair. It's a boomerang. Check it out. And poof. Well, I'm telling you, there's nothing like it. If you beat me in accuracy in a 60 mile an hour wind and you score higher than me, I'm slapping you a high five. We're all excited because you beat Mother Nature. You outsmarted her. You did better. So what? You know, it's the greatest thing in the world. You did great and fantastic. Let's go on to the next event, and let's just see where the chips may fall, where everybody gets to be a family. It's a boomerang family. In 2024, I invite everybody to Honolulu, Hawaii. We are going to have it as inexpensive as you can have it, staying at Hawaii University and throwing on the fields there in Honolulu. And we are going to have an epic boomerang get-together from all the old school boomerang makers from around the world. We're going to get everybody to come to Hawaii, and we're just going to have a big family reunion. It's going to be so great. Not to mention, we get to go to the beach. We get to go surfing on the North Beach with 30-foot waves. We get to go to the Dole Pineapple Plantation Plant, or we get to go to Luau's, and we get to have fun together. And that's what we do all over the world. So it's amazing. It's amazing to think about this. To think that a stick that the Aborigines, I mean, here's something from the 17th century, and look, it has airplane wings. The bottom is flat, the top is curved. It has aerodynamics to it. And the Aborigines discovered this tens of thousands of years ago. Tens of thousands of years before the Wright brothers flew the first airplane. The Aborigines had the first controlled flying device. Hello, wake up, people. The Aborigines had this tens of thousands of years ago. It's the most amazing primitive artifact ever invented by mankind and the most complex flying instrument on the face of the earth. There's no airplane, space shuttle, helicopter. I do 4 demos a year for NASA, and I have aerospace, Mensa level, 150 IQ and more, jaws on the floor when I'm done talking about the complexity of what goes on in a boomerang. Because if I change any one thing in a Kylie or a boomerang, I alter all other factors. I can go on through dissertation after dissertation on all this, but I want you to know that I'm passionate about boomerangs. I think you're understanding. And I say to the boomerang world, you know, that it's the greatest opportunity to be a part of this incredible family. And for the rest of you that don't understand that have that 9-to-5 job where life is controlling you and you're not controlling life, or you have kids that are sitting there playing computer games or something on the TV, and they're not getting out and experiencing life, you know, you got to live life, guys. You got to live life. You got to live it to the fullest. You got to live it like you're going to die tomorrow, man. You got to see it, believe it, and achieve it. You know, I've set world records at this. And people say, well, why do you set world records and I didn't? Well, you never set the goal. Set a goal, people. Set a goal. Every time I set a world record, I envisioned my mind and I made it a reality on the field. Michael Jordan never saw a hoop this big. He saw a hoop this big. I mean, the greatest thrower that I know of, and no offense to you, Manuel Schultz or Friedelin Frost, but the greatest, most intense thrower in the world is Chet Snoffer. He's the Michael Jordan of the boomerang world. He'll go down in history as the greatest competitor, the greatest boomerang thrower that ever lived. And you say, well, Gary, okay, yeah, you're friends with them, and that's the way it is. No. I know what makes greatness. I know the intensity. I know the sacrifice of what it takes to get to that level. I didn't get to that level. Oh, I've done a lot of great achievements, But I said, to that level, my family would have suffered. My children would have suffered. I love boomerangs. I love every aspect of it. I love collecting them. And let me show you. Just to give you an idea, people, see me, hear me. Ancient Aboriginal museum quality pieces. I'm passionate. I'm passionate about each and every boomerang on the face of the earth. They nicknamed me the black hole of boomerangs. Not even light boomerangs can escape my grasp. My U.S. boomerang team does not say Gary Broadbent on the back. Okay, it says black hole. It kind of says it all, right? Hear me, everybody. Look, on top of it being an archaeological masterpiece and an amazement and collecting this type of stuff, the return boomerang, designing boomerangs, backyarders, invertibles, tri-flies. There's artistic ends of things. What gets people into boomerangs? Well, you have incredible scientists like Jonas Romblad, Ted Bailey, Rusty Harding. Shall I go on for hours and hours? That are passionate about the science of how a boomerang works and the behavior of it and stuff. They're not out to win any tournaments, but what huge contributions they made to the boomerang world. Okay, and then there's the athlete. We're the guys that are the quarterback and receiver, the pitcher and the catcher. Like I've said, in America, I said we're kind of lucky. I grew up playing a lot of football, baseball, basketball. I'm throwing and catching things. Okay, well maybe in Brazil or somewhere else they don't do as much of that. They're great in soccer. They're great in football. But you know what? When it comes to boomerangs, it's that gross motor skills, fine motor skills, eye-hand coordination of being able to throw and catch a boomerang. So I say to you guys, America had an advantage in the early days. It doesn't anymore. The technology. Here's the other cool thing. I tell everybody I can beat Tiger Woods in golf. I can beat him. I just have one rule. I get his golf clubs. He gets a basketball and a toothpick. All right, and we're gonna go play. We're gonna go play golf. Equipment is everything. Knowing your sticks is everything. Knowing where to put a rubber band, a duck flap in windy conditions to create drag. It's knowing that if you move mass towards the center of gravity, to the center of the boomerang, that the boomerang is going to lay out quicker. It's understanding the science behind that. By shifting the mass out, you increase the gyroscopic precession, overcompensating lift ratio, and you get a boomerang that goes out much further and doesn't generate as much lift and resists layover. Okay, but I'm a wealth of knowledge. All this stuff. I tell everybody, come to the Broadbent Boomerang Boot Camp. All right. They say if a boomerang thrower were to die and go to heaven, they'd go to Gary's. It's not bragging, guys. I'm no star. The boomerang is a star. I happen to know a lot about it now. A lot about it. To a level that I don't think people understand, because I said, you have the scientist. Name an aspect of boomerangs. I've come to fruition on it all. How anhedral and dihedral work. I can go through dissertations with you on what makes a boomerang do what it's supposed to do, right? Let's talk art. We all know boomerangs, like I said, a V-shaped stick, the way Mother Nature created the root of a tree, but modern day technologies change things. We take the same aerodynamics and we create a three-bladed boomerang. But you say, Gary, that's two-bladed. No, the center of gravity is right here on the top of the head. He was designed that way. So his head, Bugs Bunny, his head is an airplane wing and both ears are an airplane wing. A right-handed boomerang has a counterclockwise rotation, counterclockwise direction. A left-handed boomerang goes clockwise. So if I were to throw this boomerang, the airplane wings are opposite. And this, if I threw it, it'd be like trying to fly an airplane backwards and it would hit the ground if I was throwing this right-handed boomerang with my left hand. So you have to know the difference and you have to have the right things. Look at functional performance art. Donald Duck in a boomerang. Are you kidding me? Yes, his hands and legs are airplane wings. And this thing flies better than it looks. Name something I don't have. Superman, Spider-Man, Roadrunner, Elmo, Tigger, dolphins. Hey, I'm Batman. Oh yeah, batarangs, and they really work. You're like, come on, are you kidding me? Well, these don't have airfoils on them yet, but in 15 seconds, I can be throwing and catching this. Unbelievable. This is the batarang, and it really works. It's the only batarang I know of in the world. I mean, outside of some private makers and stuff that have made similar shapes, but there's nothing on the market that can do that. Here's my Boom Jordan. Hey, Michael Jordan in a boomerang. I was eating Wheaties in 1991, and I saw it on the back of a General Mills cereal box. And I looked at it and I said, wait a minute, that silhouette of Michael Jordan, I can make that into a boomerang. So I went out in the garage, and I cut this thing out, and I traced it, and I didn't trace it on this. I had a smaller one, and I blew it up, and I made Michael Jordan. Then Larry Nance, a former all-star forward of the Cavaliers, Catch 22. A buddy of mine, this guy's signed by him. I made him, and I've been able to do so many cool things artistically, athletically, scientifically. It's everything I am. Scientist, artist, carpenter. Look above. Name an exotic wood that we don't have in a boomerang. Imbuye, Jatobe, Wenge, pink ivory, purple heart, Gaboon ebony, you name it, I have it in a boomerang. There isn't anything that I don't have in a boomerang. Strip lamination, steam bent, beautiful woods. I could sit here and show you boomerangs all day, but we don't have all day. Lap jointed, okay? I collect the greatest collection of boomerangs because I appreciate it. I appreciate it more than anybody. And I'm not putting anybody else in the boomerang world down. I'm just saying, guys, there are boomerang throwers that are scientists. There are boomerang throwers that are athletes. There are boomerang throwers that are artists. There are boomerang throwers that are carpenters. There is nothing that I don't do and know so much about. And before I leave this earth, I hope we can put this all together and that you guys can understand the wealth of knowledge and the equipment and the history that I have, that I've collected through the years. So I say to you, everybody, hear me around the world, throw and catch a boomerang. Okay, get out and kayak and rub the belly of a manatee. Really, you need to. We're here in St. Petersburg, Florida. It's a spiritual experience. It's something unbelievable. They'll come up to you and you can actually pet them. Are you kidding me? Jump out of a perfectly good working aircraft. Get some ice skates on, okay? Ice skate. Are you kidding me? Live life. It's okay if you fall down and you bang your gluteus maximus. Whenever I do, I get a terrible headache. But I want you to know, find the humor in life. Find your passion, find your bliss, find your love. And everybody needs to get out and throw boomerangs. You're dancing with the wind. It's therapeutic. You having a tough day? Keep a boomerang in your trunk. When you get off work, go out to a field and go out and throw a boomerang. It's amazing how all your worries just disappear for a while, right? You can think about things, okay? Maximum time aloft boomerangs. Throwing a boomerang that gets up in the air and it auto rotates and it takes 30 seconds to a minute for it to come down, or it catches a thermal and it disappears. It disappears in the world. Rusty Harding, a retired aerospace engineer, was at my house. I threw a boomerang in Canton, Ohio in front of a whole school group that had come to my house in Arboretum Park. They came to my house on a field trip. Everybody got to make a boomerang, paint a boomerang, throw and catch a boomerang. And it was unbelievable, and I threw an MTA to demonstrate for him, and it was a cold day, sunny, and the black top of the parking lot was there. And the boomerang got over that, and the hot air was rising up, and it caught that thermal, and it disappeared in the sky 35 minutes above me. We lost sight of it. The boomerang was found 4 days later in a Kmart parking lot in Du Bois, Pennsylvania. It was Kmart or Walmart, 171 miles away. And I had written, reward if found, please call Gary Collect on the back. Now, if you want to see one of those boomerangs, here is the Jonas Ramblad Windsail boomerang, a composite made of unidirectional carbon fiber 9010, micro balloons and epoxy with a layer of 3-ounce Kevlar, bidirectional Kevlar underneath. This boomerang only weighs about maybe 16 grams. Some of them much lighter than that, down to like 11. Actually, I have a brown one that's like 9.6 grams, but that's really light. But this is an auto gyro anti-gravity machine. It generates more lift than it weighs. When you throw this thing, you just wouldn't believe it. High over vertical, and the thing corkscrews way up in the air and turns over and drops like a maple seed. People, we have boomerangs that are going out 238 meters. Manu Schultz switched them through 238 meters. He's the only man on the earth that's thrown more than 200 meters. This guy, if I tell you, I wanted to be his agent. That guy's got a gun on him. If I could teach him to throw a baseball, oh man, I'm only asking 5%, man. I'm only asking 5%. So think about it, okay? I mean, just think about it. Well, you'll be so rich. It'll be so wonderful. I can't wait. Did I get off on a tangent? You know, if I knew how to spell ADHD, we could look that up in a dictionary. There'd be a picture of me like this. You know, because but I don't know how to spell ADHD. But if I did, you know, I just want you guys to know. So this is unbelievable. Our sport is so much fun. Throwing and catching boomerangs, trick catching behind the back, under the legs, with the feet. We used to do juggling where we alternate boomerangs in the air over and over and over. Look at this. These are backyard boomerangs, you know. A boomerang with a universal paint job. A paint job I did many, many years ago in the late 80s. And this is such a simple paint job. And you say, but, you know, I'm known for this universal paint job. And it's so simple and so quick. It's unbelievable. Simple. Take my boomerang, spray 3 colors, the primary colors. Pink or red, blue, and yellow. You get your purples, you get your oranges, you get your greens, blend it in, and you make them striped. Then you take paint caps, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, roofing nails upside down, and caps from your vitamin jar, and you put them all over the top of this, right? And then you take some flat black paint and you spray it over the top, and then I take a paint cap, spray a little bit of white paint in it, and spit all those white stars everywhere, all over it. Then when you pull everything off, this is what you get. Easy. You're an artist, just like that. KISS, people. Keep it simple, stupid. And yet, this is the backyard boomerang. I think this and the boomerang are the easiest to throw boomerang in the world. They consistently hold their tune. They're so much fun for anybody, and I give them a lifetime guarantee. You know, it's something where, and that's what I'll tell you, is that we have these boomerangs. I said before, why don't people throw boomerangs? Well, you need a good working boomerang. You need to know how to throw it, and you need a large area to do it in. I said, so how can we make boomerangs a living? Well, let's make a boomerang that anyone can learn to throw and catch and can be done in a small area. And that's where the boomerangs and the backyarders come in. Because now we open up the market, not from males age 10 to 50 that want a wooden boomerang, but now we opened up the market. 2 to 102, male or female, anyone can learn to throw and catch a boomerang. This goes out 10 feet, comes right back. And you're soon catching it behind the back, under legs, with the feet, and it's got a hole on it. You catch it right on your finger. So this is something that I want everybody, it's one of those bucket lists that everybody on the face of the earth, all 8 billion of you, need to do. You need to get out and throw a real boomerang, throw and catch a boomerang, okay? And it is really a therapeutic, wonderful thing, and I promise you that if you were to do this for a living or for a passion and to travel the world, if I could give you $1 million cash right now, you think I'm the greatest guy in the world. What I'm giving you is so much greater than that. The friends, the family, the traveling to all these wonderful places. I throw boomerangs around the Eiffel Tower, the Washington Monument, the Statue of Liberty. I throw boomerangs tomorrow and caught them yesterday over the Pacific Ocean on the international date line, when the airline attendant told the captain of the plane there's a guy in the cabin who wants to throw a boomerang right when you get over the international date line. He's like, I give up what countries you want to go to. Picture of me on CNN News. Man hijacks airplane with boomerang, film at 11. I'd be like, oh, there I am again. Ready? It's all about the little things in life. It's the little things that make everything really big. Get out, throw a boomerang. You throw a boomerang tomorrow and catch it yesterday. Hey, why not, you know? We still haven't made it to the North and South Pole. We all got to throw around the North and South Pole so we could throw in every time zone. Think about it, huh? But our boomerangs have been thrown on the International Space Station. Look it up. We've thrown boomerangs, and that was traveling at 17,500 miles an hour. And it's pretty interesting to think about. Do boomerangs work in space? Well, not if there's any atmosphere. You need the Bernoulli's principles to make it come back. But inside a cabin, inside the International Space Station, you can watch them throwing and catching a boomerang. It's amazing. So, I say to everybody, it doesn't come easy. Without an education, without a physics degree, I wouldn't be standing in front of you here, and hardly any of this would have been created. You got to get a good education. You got to stay in school. You have to say no to drugs. You have to have a ferocious, bodacious, vivacious, gregarious, low to the ground, hard to bring down, bobbing to weave, shaking a bacon, stomping on a dime, and leaving 9 cents behind. Number 1, second to none, attitude. Attitude is the most important thing you own. It's more important than your education. Your attitude is everything. You know, terrible things happen to us in our lives. We lose loved ones, right? Something horrible happens. Maybe a fire happened in your life or something, okay? It alters things. You know what? Never be a victim. Always be a survivor. These things are there it's a part of living. You learn from it, and then you get on with life. You don't dwell in it. Don't dwell in it. Learn from it. It builds your character, and what a character I turned out to be. So, to everyone out there, I say, find your love, find your passion, find your bliss, and it'll all come back to you just like a boomerang.